welcome back to our channel. The 1967 USA 1-dime coin is a shining example of how a seemingly ordinary piece of currency can become something extraordinary, with a rich history and a fascinating backstory that elevates it beyond its original purpose. While most of us are used to seeing dimes as little more than coins used to pay for a cup of coffee or the latest snack, the 1967 dime, especially in certain rare forms, has captured the attention of coin collectors and enthusiasts worldwide. It's a coin that not only holds historical significance but also commands impressive values on the auction block. Today, we'll explore why the 1967 dime is so special, and how it went from a simple piece of currency to a prized collectible worth as much as $156,000. The 1967 dime was minted during a fascinating period in American history. To truly understand why this coin is significant, we first need to look at the broader context of U.S. coinage during the 1960s. The 1960s was a decade of immense social and cultural change in the United States. It was a time marked by the civil rights movement, the space race, and growing political unrest. It was also a time when the nation's coinage was in a state of transition, as changes in design and composition were taking place. For the dime, this period marked the continuation of a design that had been in place since 1946, a design that would eventually become one of the most iconic in the history of U.S. coinage. The portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt's image, which had been introduced on the dime after his death in 1945, remains one of the most recognizable features of American coinage. The decision to feature Roosevelt on the dime was made in part to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. The dime, being a smaller denomination, was seen as a fitting tribute to Roosevelt's role in supporting the nation during difficult times. His portrait, created by sculptor John R. Sinek, has graced the obverse of the dime ever since, and it continues to symbolize both the man and the values that he represented. The reverse of the 1967 dime, like all dimes minted between 1946 and 1964, depicted a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, all of which symbolized liberty, peace, and strength. This design was the work of Sinek as well, and it was intended to reflect the values of freedom and democracy that Roosevelt fought to preserve during his presidency. The combination of Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and the symbolic design on the reverse made the 1967 dime instantly recognizable and forever linked with an era of American history. However, the story of the 1967 dime doesn't stop with its design. It also has an interesting tale of its composition, rarity, and value in the years that followed. In 1965, just 2 years before the 1967 dime was minted, the U.S. Mint made a significant change in the composition of its coins. The rising cost of silver was causing problems for the production of coins, and the mint decided to remove silver from the dime and other coins. Prior to 1965, dimes were made from 90% silver and 10% copper, but after 1965, the U.S. Mint began producing dimes from a copper-nickel-clad composition, with only a thin layer of silver on the surface. This shift in composition, which affected not only the dime but also the quarter and half dollar, marked the end of an era of silver coinage in the United States. The 1967 dime, therefore, is one of the first dimes minted after the switch to the copper-nickel composition, making it an important coin in the history of American minting. While the 1967 dime itself might not have contained silver, its place in the timeline of U.S. coinage makes it a part of a significant transition in American currency. The coin's composition, however, is just one aspect of its appeal to collectors. The 1967 dime, like other coins of its time, was minted in large quantities. More than 1.5 billion were produced at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. As a result, most 1967 dimes are relatively common and would only be worth their face value of 10 cents. However, what makes the 1967 dime truly fascinating is the small number of special variations, errors, and rarities that were produced that year, and these have become the focus of serious collectors. One of the most coveted varieties of the 1967 dime is the 1967 no mintmark dime. As a general rule, coins minted at the Philadelphia Mint did not have a mintmark, while coins minted at the Denver Mint were stamped with a D mintmark. However, in 1967, some of the dimes produced at the Philadelphia Mint were mistakenly struck with no mintmark, and this error has turned the coin into a highly prized collectible. The 1967 no mintmark dime is a rare find, and coins in mint or near mint condition can fetch impressive prices at auctions. The error is subtle, but for serious collectors, it's a major discovery, and examples of this rare dime have been known to sell for significant amounts of money, but the 1967 dime doesn't just have error varieties that attract collectors. In fact, even the most common 1967 dimes, in excellent condition, can be highly sought after. The reason for this is simple: over time, coins that were widely circulated and spent began to show signs of wear and age. Coins that were kept in pristine condition, particularly those that were never spent or were carefully preserved, are considered to be valuable to collectors because of their rarity. A 1967 dime in near-perfect condition is a rare find, and such coins are often sold for amounts much higher than their face value. These well-preserved coins, when graded properly by professional grading services, can command impressive prices, especially at high-end auctions. But what about the ultimate prize, the rarest of the rare 1967 dimes? The coin that has captured the attention of collectors around the world and fetched a jaw-dropping $156,000 at auction? This particular 1967 dime is not just any coin, it is a gem in every sense of the word. The coin in question is a near-flawless example of the 1967 no mint-mark dime, with a near-perfect grade that places it among the finest specimens ever minted. The coin's pristine condition, combined with its rarity as a no mint-mark variety, has made it an extraordinary collectible that commands a truly impressive price. Why did this particular 1967 dime fetch such an astronomical value? The answer lies in the rarity and condition of the coin. When it comes to rare coins, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins that are in exceptional condition and have historical significance. The 1967 no mint-mark dime, with its flawless design and rare minting error, is a coin that appeals to both novice and seasoned collectors alike. The fact that such a coin can be worth $156,000 is a testament to the enduring appeal of numismatics and the incredible value that can be found in even the most unassuming of coins. So, what does this mean for you? If you happen to have a 1967 dime in your collection or find one among your change, it's worth taking a closer look. While most 1967 dimes are not worth more than their face value, some, especially those with minting errors or in pristine condition, could be worth significantly more. Whether you're a coin collector or simply someone with an interest in rare and valuable items, the 1967 dime serves as a reminder of the exciting potential that exists in the world of numismatics. In conclusion, the 1967 USA 1 dime coin is a true treasure in the world of coin collecting. From its historical significance as a part of the transition from silver to copper-nickel composition, to the rare varieties and minting errors that make it so highly sought after by collectors, the 1967 dime is a coin that continues to captivate the imaginations of people around the world. Whether it's a coin with a rare error or a perfectly preserved specimen, the 1967 dime has proven that even the most humble of coins can hold incredible value. For those lucky enough to own one of these rare and valuable dimes, the payoff can be extraordinary, just like the $156,000 that a single 1967 no mint-mark dime was sold for at auction. The 1977 USA 1 dime coin might appear, at first glance, to be just another dime, circulating in your pockets, on your tables, or even tossed into a forgotten jar. However, in the world of numismatics, there's much more to this seemingly unassuming coin. The 1977 dime is an example of how something as common as pocket change can hold tremendous historical significance and a fascinating story, becoming a highly sought-after collectible over time. What was once just a tool for daily transactions has, in some cases, transformed into an object of great value, sometimes worth as much as $148,000. In this video, we'll dive deep into the history, design, and the impressive value of the 1977 dime. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this little coin holds such a special place in the hearts of collectors. The 1977 dime was minted in an era where the world of American coinage was undergoing quiet yet essential changes. The 1970s were a transformative decade for the United States, marked by social shifts, economic challenges, and the ongoing evolution of its currency. While the United States was in the throes of the post-Vietnam War era, the nation's coinage was a silent witness to the changing times. And although the design of the dime remained largely the same during this period, with President Franklin D. Roosevelt still gracing the obverse, front, of the coin, certain subtle factors were already at play to make the 1977 dime more than just a coin of mere utility. The design of the 1977 dime, like all dimes minted since 1946, featured Franklin D. Roosevelt's likeness on the obverse. This image, crafted by the artist John R. Sinek, had been chosen to honor the late president after his death in 1945. Roosevelt's portrait is a solemn, yet dignified, reminder of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse of the coin, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch remain a symbol of liberty, peace, and strength. These symbolic elements, designed by Sinek as well, served as a fitting tribute to Roosevelt's legacy and the values that the United States held dear during his presidency. But what many people may not realize is that in 1977, the production of dimes underwent a subtle but significant shift that would have a long-lasting impact on the history of U.S. coinage. The year 1965 marked the end of an era of silver coinage in the U.S., with the country's economic challenges leading to the replacement of silver in dimes, quarters, and half dollars. By 1977, the U.S. Mint was fully entrenched in the use of a copper-nickel-clad composition for most of its coins. While this change had started a decade earlier, by 1977, the transition was well established. This copper-nickel-clad composition replaced the previously used 90% silver content, making the dimes much less valuable in terms of raw materials. However, despite this shift, the intrinsic value of the 1977 dime began to lie not in the metals it was made of, but in its rarity, condition, and any unique characteristics it might possess. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1977 dime so special among the many billions of dimes that were minted that year? After all, millions of dimes are produced every year, and the 1977 coin seems like just another in a long line of regularly circulated coins. But that's where things get interesting. The 1977 dime, while mass-produced, contains a number of variables that make it a rare and valuable find for the right collector. In the world of coin collecting, it's the minor details that can determine a coin's worth. Small variances in the die used to strike the coins, errors that occurred during minting, or simply the condition in which the coin was kept, can make all the difference in whether a coin is worth its face value, or something much, much more. One of the key factors that collectors look for when assessing a coin's value is the presence of any minting errors. These errors, which occur during the coin production process, are often random and rare, but they have the potential to turn an otherwise ordinary coin into an extraordinary and highly sought-after collectible. The 1977 dime is no exception, and a number of these coins have been found to have significant minting errors, ranging from off-center strikes to double dies. The double die error, for example, occurs when a coin is struck by a die that has not been perfectly aligned, resulting in a doubling of the design on the coin. This type of error is highly prized by collectors, as it gives the coin a unique appearance and makes it stand out from the millions of coins produced with perfect designs. Coins with double die errors are some of the most valuable on the market, as they are rare, distinct, and visually striking. A 1977 dime that exhibits this type of error can be worth far more than the typical dime, with some examples fetching thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and the severity of the error. Another factor that plays a major role in determining the value of a 1977 dime is its condition. Over time, coins that are kept in excellent condition, especially those that have never been in circulation, can be worth significantly more than their counterparts. The term uncirculated refers to coins that have no signs of wear or damage, and these coins are highly sought after by collectors. The 1977 dime, being a coin that was likely produced in large quantities and then widely circulated, can be quite rare in uncirculated condition. These coins are in pristine, almost flawless shape, and their rarity drives up their value. A 1977 dime that remains in uncirculated condition, coupled with a unique error such as a double die or an off-center strike, can see its value skyrocket. It's this combination of rarity, unique characteristics, and excellent condition that makes certain 1977 dimes truly valuable. In fact, one particularly rare and well-preserved 1977 dime with a unique minting error was recently sold for an incredible $148,000. The coin in question had both the double die error and a pristine grade, making it a near-perfect example of what collectors dream of finding. This sale highlights just how valuable the 1977 dime can become when it possesses the right combination of characteristics. But what about the regular 1977 dimes, the ones that are free of minting errors and are simply well preserved? While they may not fetch as high a price as the rare varieties, these dimes can still be worth more than their face value if they're in excellent condition. Coins that are graded as gem or brilliant uncirculated are highly desirable to collectors, and even these coins can command prices much higher than the 10 cents they were originally worth. The truth is, the 1977 dime, like many coins from the 1970s, has become an important piece of American numismatic history. It's a coin that represents a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage, the transition from silver to copper-nickel alloys, and it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors who appreciate its design, historical context, and potential for finding hidden treasures. So, what does all of this mean for you? If you have a 1977 dime lying around, tucked away in a drawer or a coin jar, it might be worth taking a closer look. While most 1977 dimes will only be worth their face value of 10 cents, there's always a chance that you're holding onto a rare find. A coin with a minting error, a unique variety, or one that's in exceptional condition could be worth far more than you think. Just remember that in the world of coin collecting, it's the details that matter, and sometimes, those details can lead to a significant payoff. In conclusion, the 1977 USA 1 dime coin is a perfect example of how a simple, everyday item can hold far more value than we might expect. With its rich historical context, its iconic design, and the potential for rare minting errors, the 1977 dime has earned its place in the world of numismatics as a valuable and collectible coin. Whether it's a double die error, an off-center strike, or a coin in pristine condition, the 1977 dime is a reminder that treasures can be found in the most unlikely places. And for those lucky enough to own a particularly rare example, the value of the 1977 dime can reach astronomical heights, just like the stunning $148,000 that a single 1977 dime sold for at auction. The 1984 USA 1 dime coin may seem like a simple, everyday object, just another coin with little fanfare or attention. But in the world of numismatics, the seemingly ordinary can often turn out to be extraordinary, and that's exactly what we're going to explore today. From the historical context in which this coin was minted to the nuances of its design and the unique factors that make it a highly sought-after collectible, the 1984 dime is a fascinating piece of American history. And if you stick with me to the end, you'll learn just how much this humble coin is worth today. Yes, we're talking about a dime worth as much as $130,000. Let's take a trip back to the early 1980s, a time when America was experiencing profound social and economic changes. The 1980s was a decade marked by economic recovery after the stagflation of the 1970s, a time when new technologies were emerging, and pop culture was undergoing an explosion of creativity. Yet, despite all these transformative changes, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins much like it had for decades, maintaining designs that were familiar, comforting, and symbolic of the American spirit. The dime, which had featured President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse since 1946, was no exception. Roosevelt's portrait, crafted by the artist John R. Sinek, had already become one of the most recognizable features on American coinage by 1984. This iconic image of Roosevelt, created shortly after his death to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, had been in circulation for almost 4 decades. For many, Roosevelt's likeness on the dime symbolized strength, resilience, and the values of service to the nation. The obverse design was simple, elegant, and timeless, qualities that would remain unchanged for many years. On the reverse of the 1984 dime, the familiar design featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch remained. These symbols represented the core ideals of liberty, peace, and strength, values that Roosevelt had championed during his presidency. The reverse design, just like the obverse, had been in place since the introduction of the Roosevelt dime in 1946, and it was meant to reflect the continuity of those American values. Although the design was not particularly groundbreaking in the 1980s, it was undeniably powerful in its simplicity and symbolism. Now, let's dive into the minting details of the 1984 dime. The U.S. Mint, during the 1980s, was focused on producing coins efficiently, given the increased need for currency in a growing economy. The 1984 dime, like other dimes minted during this period, was composed of a copper-nickel clad material, an alloy that replaced the silver content of dimes minted prior to 1965. This copper-nickel composition made the dime more affordable to produce and helped the mint keep up with demand for coins as the American population and economy expanded. In 1984, the mint produced the dime at its two main production facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. As with most dimes of the era, the coins minted in Philadelphia did not bear a mint mark, while those produced in Denver were marked with a D mint mark. The production numbers were significant. Hundreds of millions of 1984 dimes were minted across both locations. These mass-produced coins circulated widely, passing through the hands of countless Americans during the year, and many of them were simply spent, worn down, or damaged through years of circulation. But, as in all areas of numismatics, the true value of a coin doesn't always lie in its quantity or its everyday usage. In fact, it's often the rare variations or the coins in exceptional condition that attract the interest of collectors and drive up the price. The 1984 dime, for all its production and circulation, is no exception. Like other coins, certain 1984 dimes, whether due to errors or unique traits, have become highly valuable to collectors. These variations are where the excitement begins. One of the key factors that drives the value of the 1984 dime is the potential for minting errors. Errors in coin production happen when something goes awry during the minting process, leading to unusual characteristics that make a coin stand out. These errors, which can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned designs, make coins far more valuable than their standard counterparts. For the 1984 dime, there were a few notable errors that collectors keep an eye out for. One of the most coveted variations of the 1984 dime is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when a coin is struck twice by a die that isn't perfectly aligned, resulting in a doubling effect on the design. This error is particularly visible on the lettering and date of the coin, and it can create a visually striking effect that immediately catches the eye of collectors. A 1984 dime with a noticeable double die error is rare, and when found in excellent condition, it can command a high price at auction. Another significant factor contributing to the value of the 1984 dime is its condition. As is the case with any collectible, coins that have been preserved in mint or near mint condition are worth far more than coins that show signs of heavy wear. A well-preserved 1984 dime, particularly one that is free from scratches, discoloration, or damage, can fetch much more than its face value. Collectors who specialize in acquiring coins in pristine condition often seek out the best examples from each year, and the 1984 dime, especially in uncirculated condition, has a place in these collections. One of the most remarkable things about the 1984 dime is its ability to surprise even the most seasoned collectors. While most of the 1984 dimes are worth only a few cents above their face value, a select few, those that exhibit rare minting errors or exceptional quality, have soared in value. These rarities have been sold at auctions for staggering amounts, sometimes well into the five-figure range, as collectors vie for the opportunity to add these exceptional coins to their collections. And now, you're probably wondering, just how much could a 1984 dime be worth in today's market? Well, it all depends on the specific coin and its unique attributes. But to give you an idea, let's talk about a recent sale that truly captured the attention of numismatics enthusiasts. A particularly rare and well-preserved 1984 dime, featuring a noticeable double die error, was recently sold at auction for an astonishing $130,000. Yes, you read that right, a single dime, minted in 1984, was sold for $130,000. This sale serves as a powerful reminder of how the right combination of rarity, error, and condition can elevate a coin's value far beyond what anyone would expect. So, what does this mean for you if you happen to have a 1984 dime in your possession? It's important to understand that the vast majority of 1984 dimes are not worth anywhere near $130,000. However, if you find a 1984 dime that appears to have a minting error, or if it's in exceptionally good condition, it could be worth far more than its face value. Whether it's a double die error or simply a coin that has been carefully preserved over the years, it's worth having your 1984 dime professionally graded by a trusted numismatic service to determine its true value. In the world of coin collecting, there's always the potential for hidden treasures. Even the most ordinary coins, like the 1984 dime, can become extraordinarily valuable if they have the right attributes. For collectors, the thrill of the hunt is what makes coin collecting so exciting. The 1984 dime is a perfect example of how a common piece of currency can evolve into something truly remarkable when combined with rarity, history, and quality. In conclusion, the 1984 USA 1 dime coin has much more to offer than meets the eye. From its historical design and minting process to the rarity and value of error varieties, the 1984 dime has become an iconic part of American coinage. For some lucky collectors, this little coin can turn into a massive payday, with dimes reaching as much as $130,000 at auction. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone with a few extra dimes in your change jar, remember, you never know when you might be holding on to a valuable treasure. The 1984 dime is proof that sometimes, the smallest things can be worth the most.